Southern California, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. My name is Teran Rodriguez, and we have a lot to talk about today. USC football. They managed to pull a thriller against Arizona State. How'd the Trojans do it, and how clutch was Keaton Slovis of the Trojans? That was the only win when it came to Southern California football teams, as UCLA lost, San Diego State lost, and unsurprisingly, the Chargers lost in one-score fashion. What do I have to say about those three teams? And also, the Angels have hired their new general manager. Who is their new general manager, and can he help the Angels get back to the postseason? LAFC is in the MLS playoffs, as they'll be facing off against number 2 seed Seattle Sounders. Will they be able to silence the Sounders, or will the noise just be too much for them? And what did the LA Galaxy do in order to get back on track? Also, we have an award for one of LAFC's players, and we'll be talking some college basketball and a whole lot more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. My name is Teran Rodriguez, and I hope you are all having a safe Friday the 13th. I don't know about you, but I'm not necessarily one of those type of people to believe in superstitions like that. To me, I just think, it's not really a whole thing. So, yeah. I mean, so far I haven't had too much bad luck today. I haven't really had a whole lot of bad luck, and I don't care if it's Friday the 13th. This show is going to go live regardless. So, yeah. Other than that... I'm still good, and I hope everyone else is doing well, and hopefully we all can get out of this whole little nightmare of what we call a pandemic. So, yeah, but it is Friday, and it is the weekend, and I am very happy. So, now let's get on into some Southern California sports action. We have a lot to talk about tonight. So let's recap what happened last week in college football. So let's start with last Friday's matchup between San Diego State and San Jose State. The battle between NorCal and SoCal. I did not believe the end result. I wasn't at this game because I was wine tasting. I can't believe I'm saying that. I was out wine tasting. Mike Pat would be so proud of me. But, yeah, I was wine tasting. I just caught glimpses of the score, and then I saw that San Diego State wasn't up by too much. I'm like, okay, why is the Aztecs not up by a whole lot? And then eventually San Jose State took the lead, and San Diego State took the lead back, and then San Jose State took the lead, and then I think it was in the fourth quarter where San Jose State was forced to punt, and San Diego State, I believe, muffed a punt or fumbled on the punt as well. So either way, it was just a horrible, not so good game. And then eventually, San Jose State put the dagger in San Diego State's throw as Nick Nash, the quarterback, scampered in for the game daggering touchdown. And I know daggering's not a real word, but I made it up. So San Diego State loses to San Jose State 28-17. I was so disappointed. San Diego State, I don't know if the Dean Spanos curse got to them or the Chargers curse got to them, but either way, they did not look like a team that is going to be competing in the Mountain West Conference Championship. I mean, I could also say the people who voted San Jose State to finish, I think it was 5th in the Mountain West Division, Western Division, needs to be drug tested, because that San Jose State team did not look like a 5th place divisional team. I think that looked more like a 2nd or 1st place team, if you ask me. But that San Jose State team is for real, and I couldn't believe it. And by the way, the reason why I mentioned Nick Nash is because he's actually a Southern California product, as he went to Woodbridge High School in Irvine. So that's some good stuff right there. I'll give you a little golf clap, mini golf clap. But for San Diego State, that's just disappointing. Like, how do you lose on a Friday? Like, the only team from Southern California that's supposed to lose on Friday is USC. Like, come on. Like, come on now. Come on, San Diego State. You can't lose. You can't just do this to us, man. Like, what are you doing, baby? Baby, what is you doing? Oh, poor San Diego State. They need a break. I think they kind of deserve one, except not really. Like, you lost at home. So this week for San Diego State, they play Hawaii, and it's going to be at 1 p.m., which is probably to accommodate Hawaii time. San Diego State is favored by 10 points. Before I dive on into that game, it's time to look at some of these little stats. We have, at the quarterback position, we had Carson Baker, the sophomore quarterback, who threw for 261 yards, 1 interception, and he was 21 of 30 with 0 touchdowns. Awesome. And then leading San Diego State in the rushing yards department was Greg Bell, who had 109 yards, 1 touchdown, and 25 carries, while Jesse Matthews, the sophomore, had 6 receptions for 139 yards, so that was pretty nice. Not too shabby, if you ask me. And then, like I said, Nick Nash had 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was 16 for 25. He also had 11 carries for 53 yards and 1 touchdown, so he kind of was going full Lamar Jackson on San Diego State, and I think that's what's tripped up San Diego State, which is, again, it's disappointing for San Diego State. Like, I know they're better than that. Like, and their rushing yards, for the most part, they had 101 rushing yards. Now, keep in mind, Greg Bell had 109 rushing yards. Carson Baker lost 29 of them yards, which I assume he was sacked a few times, because you can't just run backwards and then lose yards. Like, you have to find a good way to lose yards. Like, I'm just saying. I'm just asking some questions. Like, looking at the team stats, I want to see how many sacks there was. But overall, it was just not a good game for San Diego State. I think they're so much better than this. They were 6 of 15 on third downs, while San Jose State was 4 of 11. San Diego State was also 1 of 3 on 4th down. They did out-yard San Jose State in terms of overall yardage, and they were just dominant in passing yards. But rushing yards was kind of a different story, as San Jose State had 116 to San Diego State's 101. And again, you gotta credit that because of the negative rushing yards that some of San Diego State's players had. So, yeah, it's a bummer. And then also, again, San Diego State had 2 fumbles. They lost 2 fumbles, and then penalties weren't overly enforced, but overall, it was just not a fun day. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I really just couldn't believe it, and I guess I'm just gonna have to. It looks as if, according to the box score from San Jose State, they had 4 sacks on the night, so I guess that accounted for negative 29 yards of Carson Baker. So next up for San Diego State is Hawaii. San Diego State is favored by 10 points. Hawaii isn't as good as they were last year. They had a tough time closing out New Mexico. So I think San Diego State needs to be better prepared. Like, they need to be ready, because if they lose this, they can pretty much kiss the Mountain West Conference Championship goodbye. They already need a lot of help in terms of San Jose State losing. Like, San Jose State would have to lose to, like, Fresno State and then Boise State. I can see San Jose State losing to Boise State and then maybe Nevada beating San Jose State. But then you also have to factor in that San Diego State has to run the table when it comes to their conference as well. So the deck the deck is somewhat stacked for San Diego State. So San Jose State is pretty much in control of their destiny. They have a leg up on the Aztecs, and they just need to like win out the remainder of their games, or at least lose no more than one. Like, if they and San Diego State tie for first in the division, the Western Division, then it's no big deal because San Jose State has the tiebreaker because they beat San Diego State. But if San Jose State loses twice and then San Diego State runs the table, and then no one else threatens to beat San Diego State, then San Diego State will be in the championship. So, overall, San Diego State still can win their division, but now they gotta play. They now can't take anyone for granted. They just can't. Like, I think that's kind of what happened in this game against San Jose State. They took San Jose State for granted. They thought they were better than them. So looking at the final final 4 games for San Diego State, they play Hawaii, they're at Nevada, they're at Fresno State, meaning they get to go up to NorCal, and then they're home against Colorado State. And then they have this matchup against BYU, which is not a conference matchup because BYU is an independent school. So I can see San Diego State running the table, but now they're pretty much going to have to... They need help. They need Boise State and maybe Nevada to win. Like, I think those two are undefeated as of right now, and Boise State looks dominant. So, best believe San Diego State is rooting for every team to, like, beat San Jose State. The one team that's not going to be beating San Jose State this weekend is UNLV, which is winless going into this game. So, yeah, so that's my little spiel on San Diego State. Again, tough loss for the Aztecs, but again, they still have some sort of chance. It's just now going to be a crapshoot because now they need help. So, yeah. So, looking at San Jose State's schedule, let's look at their schedule. They're home against UNLV, that's a win. They're at Fresno State. I can see them winning that game because Fresno State isn't all that good. From what I've heard, they did just beat UNLV and Colorado State. I think Colorado State is pretty bad this year. No, they beat Wyoming, but that's not really... That doesn't ultimately matter to me. Except it's a rivalry game, so I digress. But I think San Jose State can beat Fresno State. It's a battle of NorCal teams. Boise State and Hawaii... I mean, Hawaii... I think San Jose State can beat Hawaii. And then I think Nevada can maybe have a shot against San Jose State. So yeah, again, San Diego State needs help. And then also San Diego State has to beat Nevada of their own. So this could be quite the fascinating matchup. If Nevada manages to beat San Diego State, then they derail all their hopes of winning the championship. And Nevada was actually picked second to win the Western Division. Boise State was picked first to win their Mountain Division. So we'll have to see what happens with San Diego State. But right now, San Diego State has to take down Hawaii. Otherwise, their hopes of winning the Mountain Western Division is pretty much going to disappear through a crevice. So there's that. All right, so that's San Diego State. Now let's move on to the actual Southern California football team that won this week, and that happens to be USC. Yes, USC managed to pull out a ugly but thrilling victory over ASU. Now, I knew Arizona State was going to be a tough opponent for the Trojans. I think that's probably their best competition in the Pac-12 South. So let's recap that match, shall we? As this game was actually a 9 a.m. start game, and it felt weird waking up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday just to watch this game. But it was cool, though. So when it came to this game, it kind of got off. It was a little bit of a rocky start for USC as they fell behind 3-0, but then Stephen Carr, who was a friggin' beast, managed to bully his way in for a touchdown. Then it was just basically back-to-back touchdowns, and then Rashid White had a 55-yard touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels. Now, let me tell you about Jaden Daniels. This guy is another Southern California product. And this dude, Jaden Daniels, is a beast. And I actually want to before I continue, I actually got to give a shout to Pierre Moss, who's in the chat room. Thank you for joining me, my brother. I appreciate it. Now, let's get over to Jaden Daniels. This dude is a beast. He hails from Cajon in San Bernardino. So this dude, like I said, he's a Southern California product. He's a very talented one. He really played well at the quarterback position last year for ASU, and it showed today. And one thing that kind of mattered for ASU was that they lost one of their wide receivers in Frank Darby, as I think they lost him at one of the first few plays of the game, and he got hurt, and that really knocked the wind out of ASU's sails, which was not really ideal on their part. But that didn't seem to affect ASU ultimately that much. To me, ASU that seemed to pretty much galvanize them, because they were up 17-14 at halftime, and then they scored on a 17-yard rushing touchdown from DeMonte Trainum, and they eventually went up 24-14 after 3. In the fourth quarter, Christian Zendejas nailed a 41-yard field goal. And let's fast forward to the last 3 minutes. So it's looking like USC needs a touchdown. Otherwise, it's pretty much game over for them, and they're sunk. And then eventually they get a free play because Arizona State jumped off sides, and then Keaton Slovis chucked the ball into the end zone, and then the ball was actually tipped, and then I think it was the tight end for USC was in double coverage against 2 ASU players, but then Brew McCoy came out of nowhere and just took the ball out of the air, and that was 6 points, and then the extra point made it 7. So USC needed to recover the onside kick. They needed to recover it, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Otherwise, they pretty much lose. And to their surprise, and to USC's surprise, to every USC fan's surprise, a play that actually went well, that wasn't really supposed to go their way, actually went their way, which was absolutely amazing, because I couldn't believe that USC was able to recover an onside kick with how bad of a day they had when it came to fumbling the ball, Slovis getting picked off. Like, I couldn't believe they actually recovered an onside kick, because as Tony Romo once said, the onside kicks are starting to become extinct. And it was just a refreshing sight to see. It's like, wow, USC actually had something go correctly. And even when USC was getting turnovers, they were turning the ball back, which was so disappointing. One of the turnovers was controversial because everyone thought he had crossed the plane and got the touchdown, but that's not the point. The point was that USC just had themselves a really rotten day starting out, and then they turned it around. So they needed one more drive after one game-winning drive, and I think Keaton Slovis had one game-winning drive before last Saturday, as that was against Colorado. Yes, I can't believe USC needed a game-winning drive to beat Colorado. But that's not the point. The point is that Keaton Slovis needed to put the team on his back, and he was doing so. Stephen Carr was also doing his part in getting USC into the promised land. And also USC got some help with their receivers, such as Brew McCoy, who is also a Southern California product, and then Drake London, who's also a Southern California product. He's from Moore Park, while Brew McCoy's from Modern Day High School. yeah. But so let's move forward. So let's fast forward to the game-winning touchdown. So it was 4th and 9, and then I think it was at the 23-yard line. I want to say 21-yard line, and then Slovis had to get a first down or get a touchdown, and then he wanted more than just the end zone. He wanted it all. So he took a shot into the end zone, and he found Drake London, and I didn't know how Drake London caught that ball. It looked like there was this is something you would see from Russell Wilson. I think Drake London was also in double coverage, and then he caught the ball. I'm like, oh no, did he drop it? And then I see him coming up with the ball, and it's like, USC actually was clutch. I couldn't believe it. And then they made the extra point, and that was cool and all. And I couldn't believe it. And Parker Lewis is the freshman kicker, is filling in for Chase McGrath, who is also a Southern California product. I promise you, I won't be saying that too many times. I'm sorry, but I definitely got to make note of these Southern California products, whether they're on the Southern California team or the opposing team. Deal with it. I'm just kidding. Okay, and then just to summarize what happened with ASU's last drive, they turned it over on downs, and then USC won, and every USC fan was happy, and they came out of hiding, and then some Arizona State fans were sad at the fact that they lost because reasons, but what are we going to do? So, yeah, that was a huge win for USC. I was so psyched. That was the only highlight of my weekend when it came to football. But let's take a look at USC's schedule. So that was a huge win because that is pretty much the biggest threat to USC this year. And although USC looked sloppy, Marcus, big shout to Marcus Loscrate, who's in the chat room. He said they choked. Oh, come on. You don't gotta say that to Arizona State like that. I mean, you're not wrong, but you don't need to say it. I mean, jeez. And now, oh my God, Marcus says, Herm Edwards. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit. And then shout out to Angela Winstead, who's in the chat room, said, yes, USC fans were sad. And I'll give Arizona State this. They have a bright future. Jaden Daniels is the man. That boy's going to be good. Heaven knows if he might be a Heisman, a future Heisman nominee. But that's just dreaming. That's just food for thought right there. Anyway, looking at USC's schedule, their next game is tomorrow at 12:30 against Arizona. If they're not beating Arizona by 14 or more, I think Clay Helton needs to go. Just a thought. But I think they can beat Arizona State with ease, with the grace of ease. As if they can beat Arizona State, they can definitely beat the Wildcats. Please, no. Please don't give us USC fans a heart attack. I already have to deal with that with the Chargers and their one-score games. Now we might have USC doing this? Good Lord have mercy. USC is supposed to be my escape from the Chargers. Now they could be taking the same role, except USC actually won their game by one score, which is cool and all. Again, so yeah, USC plays Arizona. Next week they play at Utah, but here's the thing. It might not happen. I'm not entirely sure, but there's a possibility it might not happen. Marcus says Clay still needs to go, but only if we were hiring Urban Meyer. Facts right there. But yeah, Utah has had to postpone or cancel their past two games. This week they were supposed to play UCLA, and that unfortunately got moved around. I'll be talking about that in a little bit. And last week they were supposed to play Arizona. So Arizona's going to be coming in cold turkey without any football other than practicing and whatnot. So, yeah. USC has no excuses. They're fresh off of a big win, and then they've already got some football underneath their belts other than practicing. I don't want to hear anyone defending USC. They have no excuses. I don't even care if it's going to be at Arizona. No. They deserve. They better win. That's what I gotta say. That's what I'm going to say. USC has got to not play a one-score game. Like, please, save that for the Pac-12 tournament or the Pac-12 championship. Just no. Like, I don't want to see another down-to-the-wire game. Okay. So, I don't know if USC will be playing Utah, because we still have to wonder if Utah will be able to get everything together, because what will happen if USC has to postpone their game against Utah? I hope it doesn't happen, but what will happen if Utah has to say, "Oh, we can't play USC. Sorry." Like, that could hurt USC's chances of winning the Pac-12, of making the Pac-12 championship. I mean, it won't count as a loss, but it would mean that either USC will have a little rust for their next game, or they'll have to find another opponent. The problem is that we don't even know if there are any opponents left, because I think everyone else, and no one gets a bye this schedule. So, yeah. So, and then after Utah, USC plays Colorado. Like, after they play Utah, they don't have to leave to travel anywhere. They play Colorado after Utah. Then after Colorado, they play Washington State on a Friday. Then after Washington State, they play UCLA. It's going to be at the Rose Bowl, but again, they don't have to travel out of California after they play Utah, if they play Utah. So USC's in a good position going forward. And Marcus says, I mentioned Clay Helton. Here's my thing. What'll happen if USC runs the table? And okay, let's look at this hypothetically. Let's say USC goes 6-0. It's doable, but Washington State, USC can struggle on Friday games. USC struggles on Friday games sometimes, and then Washington State can sometimes be their boogeyman. And then also playing at Utah will be tough considering high altitude and whatnot. Let's say USC goes 6-0. Then they play in the Pac-12 championship, and let's say they beat Oregon. I had Cal going into winning the Pac-12 North, but with how Cal's going, maybe not the best prediction. Whoops. But let's say USC upsets Oregon. I use the term upset loosely because I don't know what to expect from Oregon. I'm going to be calling one of their games this weekend. But let's say USC upsets Oregon. What will go through the mind of Mike Bond? Will Mike Bond say, you know what? Clay Helton got us a perfect season in the regular season, and we could make the college football playoff. We won the Pac-12. Could Mike Bond extend Clay Helton if USC goes a perfect 6-0 and then they win the Pac-12 championship? That's some food for thought on my part. I always think about that. I'm like, USC's got a decent schedule going forward, and I mean, it's not all winnable, but it's certainly winnable on paper. But you never know with USC. Like, they're like a box of chocolates. You never know what they can get. So, again, it's just food for thought. And then you never know if USC could actually get into the college football playoff. I don't really think they'll get into the college football playoff, even if they run the table and win the Pac-12 championship. Like, their strength of schedule doesn't really scream Final Four team. Like, they have to, I mean, you look at Bama, you look at Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State. Like, how are you going to put USC into those four? And even if USC does get into the college football playoff, like, let's say Notre Dame beats Clemson again. Like, let's say they win in overtime yet again. And then Clemson gets knocked out, and then USC somehow slips in. Like, does USC really deserve to be number 4 and playing in the Rose Bowl just to get blown out by, like, 30 to Alabama? I mean, at first I thought USC could beat Bama, but then I saw Bama, and it's like, oh, wait, this is Bama. This is a very good team. Because I thought Bama was going to have some quarterback issues, and they still have some issues with Jalen Waddle being out, but honestly, you never know. Like, I don't know if USC can make the college football playoff, but I do know this, like, if USC does run the table and they do, like, go perfect, I still wonder if if Mike Bond extends Clay Helton. Again, I don't know. It's just some food for thought, but it's just something USC fans have to wonder. I mean, obviously USC is not going to tank for Clay Helton to get fired. Like, in college football, there's no such thing as tanking. Like, if anyone says there's tanking in football, we need to go outside and chat. But just to close on USC, it was a big win last week against Arizona State. I definitely am confident they will beat Arizona. And depending on what happens with Utah, that Utah game could still be up in the air. I mean, you also have to factor in that Utah would be playing its first game of the season. They'd be going in cold turkey without playing any opponents other than themselves in terms of practice. And then you still have to factor in that Utah might not play their game because reasons. So again, food for thought. But anyway, let's move on from USC. I mean, I'd like to chat about USC all day, but I'm not going to. So let's go to UCLA action. So UCLA had themselves a heartbreaking loss. They lost 48-42 against Colorado. I couldn't believe they gave up 48 points. But that right there is just scratching the surface. Oh, no. Oh, no. There's much more where that came from. Not only did UCLA give up 48 points, they had 3 fumbles in the game. And I think they all came in the first half. 3 fumbles. What are you doing, UCLA? And then they threw an interception as well. Like, what? And they almost won. I don't know what's more mind-blowing. The fact that UCLA almost won with 4 turnovers, or the fact that they got 4 turnovers in the first half. Like, that's not how UCLA is going to be winning games, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it's just not. Oh my God. UCLA, like, how do you live with yourself? How does Chip Kelly sleep at night? That's my food for thought question. So, anyway, so for UCLA, their game was pretty complicated. Like, their game was they had to play from behind for the most part. So they fell behind 14-0. They got on the board with a late touchdown, and then they were down only 14-7. Then, second quarter, Colorado decides to score back-to-back touchdowns. And again, I think that kind of was due to the fact that UCLA got caught fumbleitis in that game. So, yeah. And then eventually, Colorado capitalized on those turnovers, and they went up 35-7. 35-7. They were up 28. Like, at least it wasn't 28-3. Anyway, UCLA scored a late touchdown, and then I said through the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account, hey, it's not over yet. A certain team from Los Angeles blew a 21-point lead against a team from Colorado, a team from Denver. Maybe UCLA will rewrite some narratives. And surprisingly, UCLA got touchdowns from Dorian Thompson-Robinson, or DTR. It was a 65-yard run, and that's impressive stuff for a quarterback. Not bad at all. And then Demetric Felton had a 15-yard touchdown run, and just like that, Colorado was only up 7. Unfortunately, they got a touchdown from Sam Neuer, who was having himself a game. And then Keegan Jones got a touchdown pass from DTR, and then Evan Price nailed a field goal late in the third quarter, and then Price nailed another field goal. And then Mike Martinez got a touchdown pass from DTR, and then it was 48-42 with 1:45 left in the game. Unfortunately for UCLA, unlike USC, UCLA's onside kick was recovered by Colorado, and that was the game. Unfortunately, UCLA lost, and they start 0-1. So I gotta give it up for them. They had a lot of grit in that game. But 4 turnovers isn't gonna win you games. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So, yeah. Yeah, so tough tamale, UCLA, but that's the way the ball bounces. So, looking at UCLA's schedule, their game against Utah that they were supposed to play got canceled, like I said. So, their next game is going to be this week, except it's going to be on Sunday. Yes, college football on a Sunday. Who would have thought? And they get to they still get to play at home against Cal, which Cal actually had one of their games canceled as well. I think Cal played Oregon. No, they didn't play Oregon State. I think they played they played Arizona State because Marcus said in the chat room that Herm Edwards got COVID. but really, we are sending the prayers out to Herm Edwards. The players on ASU also got COVID, so it was just pretty much a double and triple whammy for ASU. They not only lost a 13-point lead to USC, but now their team has got COVID and their coach has got COVID. So it's tough for ASU. But as for this matchup between Cal and UCLA, I'm really fascinated to see how this match turns out. I think this is going to be a great game between Cal and UCLA. However, I have been on the Cal train since maybe last year. The thing about Cal is, yes, they're going to be coming in cold turkey, but I think they're a better team than UCLA. Because one reason why is because of a quarterback by the name of Chase frickin' Garbers. That dude can sling that ball. And there's a reason why Petros Papadakis called him the king of Corona del Mar. Like, you can only get that nickname if you end world hunger in Corona del Mar or you do something significant. This dude got this nickname because this dude could sling a rock, and he's from Corona del Mar. He went to Corona del Mar High School, and he won himself a state championship. And a CIF 7th section championship. But that's not the point. The point is that Chase Garbers, when Chase Garbers is playing for Cal looks like a strong team. When he's not playing for Cal looks like a joke. like one thing that really mattered was against USC, when Chase Garbers got hurt and their new quarterback just laid an egg. I forget his name, but I'm blanking on the backup quarterback's name, but oh no, now I remember. It was Devon Modster. I think that's what his name was. It was Devon Modster, and he just didn't have the it factor that Chase Garbers had, and eventually USC steamrolled Cal, which was, I said that Garbers going down mattered. However, their defense, Chase Garbers doesn't play defense, so I'm just saying, they lost to a freshie quarterback, but I digress. So, what do I say about you? What are my predictions about UCLA and Cal? I think UCLA, that game against Colorado didn't do them any justice. I think Cal is a good team. They're a very good team. I think UCLA is a better team than what last Saturday dictated. I think this is going to be a close one, but I have Cal winning 38-28. I think Cal pulls this one out because Chase Garbers carries them to the finish line. DTR is a great quarterback. He's not the best quarterback in the world, but he's still learning, and he's going to definitely develop into a star. Like the dude's only is a junior, so DTR is definitely doing his thing. He also registered a double-triple. He had 300 or more than 100 yards in the air, and he had 100 yards on the ground. So that's some good stuff there. What UCLA does need to do is develop a better run game, because you can only go with DTR as a running QB for so long. So get more runners involved. Get Demetric Felton involved. The dude's a senior. Let him go out with a bang. You can't call Josh Kelly back. Joshua Kelly is no longer on UCLA. So, but that's what I've got when it comes to Cal versus UCLA. I think that Cal is just going to be too much of a match for the Bruins. And the thing about Cal is that I think they're going to be ready to go. I think they were ready to go against Washington, and then they had to postpone that. And that would have been great to see Washington versus Cal. Why? Because Chase Garbers' brother, Ethan, might be the starting quarterback for the Huskies. And that would be pretty cool. It would have been great to see Garbers versus Garbers. But unfortunately, that didn't happen because COVID. Damn, Rona. But, yeah. I just don't see UCLA winning. If they win, it's going to be by a minimal margin. But it's a Sunday game. It's an early game. I got Cal winning this one. It's no disrespect to UCLA. They didn't ask for this, but I just think Cal's just going to be the better prepared team. And I still probably would have picked Utah to beat UCLA. I maybe would have picked it a little closer, but not quite. Like, I just think that Cal's the better team and Utah's the better team, and UCLA is just not quite there yet. Like, you look at UCLA's schedule, their schedule is brutal. Like, they've already played Colorado, and here's the thing about Colorado. They've won their past 6 straight season openers, while UCLA has now lost their past 5 season openers. So, that's a thing right there you have to factor in as well. So, then going forward, UCLA plays Cal, and then after Cal, they play Oregon. Their game is now going to be moved to next Saturday. So their Oregon game is no longer on Friday. It's going to be on Saturday. So that's some good stuff right there. And then they play Arizona. I think they could beat Arizona. And then Arizona State, we all know how that's going to turn out. Arizona State's going to get the dub over UCLA probably. And then USC versus UCLA. Obviously, we know how that's more than likely going to turn out. So, especially if it's for Clay Helton's job, and it's for the Pac-12 championship. So, or not the Pac-12 championship, the Pac-12 South championship. So yes. So UCLA's got a brutal schedule this year, but they still haven't really gotten fully adjusted to Chip Kelly's offense or Chip Kelly's coaching. So there's that. So that's kind of my little spiel on UCLA, and that's kind of my whole little spiel on the college football scene. Now let's move on to the NFL portion. The Rams didn't play last week. They play Seattle this week. I'm just going to go quick and dirty. It's going to be close between the Seahawks and the Rams. The Seahawks have wet cardboard as their defense, while the Rams have Aaron Donald. And then their offense is kind of like milk toast as well. So I hate to pick against the Rams, but I got the Seahawks winning 38-31. I think their defense is going to do enough to win. I think it's going to be just enough to win, and then I think Jason Myers is going to come up clutch when it comes to field goals, because he's only been kicking point afters, so that's kind of been the negative for Jason Myers, but he's going to finally get to come up clutch, and then unfortunately the Rams' final drive will fall short, so yeah. Alright, so now let's move on to the Chargers. Before I move on to the Chargers, I just say I don't want the Rams to lose. I think the Rams have a chance because they're facing, again, a very terrible defense, but their offense against Miami looked so I don't know, man. Like, Jared Goff cannot have another game like that. Otherwise, the Rams aren't going to be going to the playoffs. Like, luckily for the Rams, they got the luxury of the Seahawks beating the Bills, or the Bills beating the Seahawks, and then they also got the luxury of Miami beating the Cardinals. So yeah. So they're still very much in the NFC West Championship race. They just need to do their part. But I just see Seattle getting back on track because the fact that Seattle still dropped 34 is still somewhat impressive, despite Russell Wilson having himself a not-so-great day. So yeah, that's my little spiel on the Rams. Now for the Chargers. Once again, the Chargers lost in heartbreaking fashion, losing to the Raiders 31-26. I predicted that the Raiders were going to win 31-27, so I wasn't overly too off, so I deserve a little bit of a round of applause. But yeah, that's some good stuff. I can't believe I was that close. But I was hoping that the Chargers were going to prove me wrong. And then, long story short, the Chargers got all the way down to I think it was down to the 4-yard line. And they had pretty much two throws to possibly get a touchdown. Or 2 plays to run in order to get a touchdown. And then Justin Herbert tried to sling it to Mike Williams. It looked like Mike Williams had got it, but the defender popped the ball out, which was also quite impressive. I think Mike Williams is still okay because after the play, he kind of got hurt, which sucks, but it's whatever. So now, with 1 second remaining and 1 play left, the Chargers had to pretty much get a touchdown, or otherwise they'd lose. And then Herbert tried to find Donald Parham, the backup tight end, and it looked like Donald Parham had caught it. And then I was so happy that the Chargers had finally had a little bit of a reversal of fate. However, on replay, I look at it and I'm like, uh-oh, that's not a catch. And then the Chargers lost. It's like, really? I'm like, really, Chargers? Why do you gotta do this? Come on. The good thing is what do the Chargers need to do in order to, win these tight one-possession games? Does Justin Herbert need to throw for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns? I couldn't not believe it. Herbert was pretty impressive overall. I think he had 320 yards, I want to say. He had 2 touchdowns. He did have a touchdown again that Gabe Neighbors caught, the fullback, and then he scored. However, there was one play where he got hurt, which a defender came down on his leg or something like that, and he had to be taken out, and then Teran Taylor had to come in, and he tried, and then the Chargers went for the 2-point conversion, and it failed. The fact that Teran Taylor was still on his feet for that long of a period of time without getting sacked was quite impressive. He avoided, I think, 3 defenders, and then he tried to run it in to the end zone, and then unfortunately he just was stonewalled, which was quite the bummer for him. But hey, the fact that he still stood on his feet for that long was amazing. So at least we got to see some Teran Taylor. But Justin Herbert is okay, and luckily it doesn't appear like nothing's broken. But it was just another tough loss for the Chargers. Yeah, he had 326 yards, 28 for 42, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He did get sacked twice, but I don't think he lost too many yards. My question is this. Why did Justin Herbert not want to go to Keenan Allen or Hunter Henry? Why didn't the Chargers draw something up to get Keenan Allen the ball? Keenan is your best wide receiver. I get that it's pretty obvious and that more than likely he's going to have double coverage on him. And then Hunter Henry might have some guys on him as well. But Hunter Henry's pretty tall too. I think I want to say he's 6'6". Or maybe why didn't they just throw a screen pass to Kalen Ballage? I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking this. It's just food for thought on my part. But I think that Herbert should have. I think the Chargers should have just tried to get a play to get it to their best guy in Keenan Allen, because that's who you want the ball. Because Keenan Allen can catch everything. Keenan Allen can catch a lot of things. It even got to the point where he caught some flu-like symptoms, which could have jeopardized his chances of playing in the game last week. Fortunately, he was able to play, and he did play well, and he got over 100 receiving yards, and he got a touchdown and whatnot, so that was cool. But again, and I'm surprised the Chargers didn't even want Justin Herbert to try to run it in. Herbert has athleticism, and he's got long arms as well, so And he's also had a couple rushing touchdowns this year as well. So, again, I still wonder. So, either way, the Chargers lost again. I'm so mad. It's gotten to the point where I'm just expecting the Chargers to lose in the waning seconds of the game. It's like, come on, man. So, this week the Chargers are at Miami for pretty much fighting for their playoff lives. And they get to play Tua Tagovailoa, who was selected one spot above Justin Herbert. So, yeah. At first I thought this was going to be a possible win because the Chargers, I think, are a better team than the Dolphins. However, little did I know, the Dolphins caught fire and are now winners of 4 straight, and they are possibly pushing for a playoff spot. Like, it seems a little too early for the Dolphins to be in the playoffs. Like, I thought the Dolphins were going to need at least 1 or 2 more years to be a playoff contender. But now they're thinking playoffs right away. So they're going to do all that they can to, like, probably make the postseason. So, yeah. So here's the thing about the Chargers. They need in order to make the postseason, which I still want them to, they need to pretty much run the table. They're 2-6. They should be maybe 7-1, 6-2 at worst. And they got to run the table. They pretty much have to run the table to, like, at least finish 9-7. Like, I don't even think 8-8 gets them into the postseason. So it's going to be tough for the Chargers, especially when the Dolphins' defense is nothing to sneeze at. I think the Dolphins' defense is going to give Justin Herbert some fits. The problem is, here's the thing about Justin Herbert. He's not Jared Goff. I think he's nowhere near Jared Goff. I think he's a much better... He's not the greatest quarterback. He's not fully better than Jared Goff, but he on paper, he looks pretty good, and he's only a rookie, so yeah. And the Chargers aren't going to have Joey Bosa, so that's already a big loss right there. And the Chargers still don't have Keenan Allen. And then they also don't have Justin Jackson, who got hurt early on in the game. And then I think some of the players such as Brian Bulaga and Try Turner are questionable. And I think and Tromaine Pope is questionable. So I still think Kalen Ballage is going to be elevated to the roster's 53-man roster. But now, again, this is a big game for the Chargers. If they still want to make the postseason, they need to win. They need to win this week. And to me, it's going to be tough for the Chargers to win. They're on the road, and they're playing a very confident Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's how his name is pronounced. Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa. I think it's pronounced Tagovailoa. Either way, the Chargers need to play a full 4 quarters. Like, it seems like the third quarter is always their Achilles heel. With the exception of the Carolina Panthers, they've always, and maybe the Kansas City Chiefs, I think the third quarter is what hurts them. Like, the Chargers were up 3 at halftime, so the fact that they only gave up a 3-point lead isn't ultimately disappointing, but the fact that they gave up a lead in general, they made, like I said, they were going to make Derek Carr look like a god. They even made Devontae Booker. I know who he is. He used to play for the Broncos, but I didn't even know he was still in the league. They made Devontae Booker look like beast mode out there. Like, good Lord have mercy. And that's kind of what happens when you don't have Joey Bosa. Oh my gosh. And Derwin James. And Drew Tranquill. But, yeah. It's going to be tough for the Chargers to win. The Dolphins have Tua. They also have other talented players. I think a few of their players, like Preston Williams, is on IR. And then I think Shaq Lawson was his name. Kyle Van Noy. That's what his name was. Kyle Van Noy, I think, was placed on the COVID list and whatnot. So yeah. yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to be a little banged up too. They might not be without some of their stars. So it's going to be tough. But we'll see what happens. Like, we'll see if the Dolphins can get the win. Like, they've won 4 in a row, and the Chargers have lost 2 in a row. And it's tough, but I'm gonna be honest here. I think the Chargers can win. I have the chart. Yeah. Preston Williams is on injured reserve for the Dolphins, which is unfortunate, and that's a loss that the Dolphins can't afford to have. And then I think the Dolphins also have some other players on the COVID list, so it all depends. But for now, as for my prediction, it's going to be tough. But I have the Chargers winning 33-27. I don't think it'll happen, but I still went on my word saying that the Chargers would maybe win this game. And I still can't go past that. So I gotta say the Chargers win. It's gonna be tough with no Joey Bosa, and then Tromaine, not Tromaine Pope. The other guy, Brian Bulaga and Try Turner are both banged up. Like, they're still questionable, so it's not even guaranteed that they'll play. So either way, it's gonna be tough. But I have the Chargers winning. Like, I don't like it on paper. This looks like the Dolphins would win, but I think the Chargers can sneak out of Miami with a win. What I'm really looking forward to is Tua versus Herbert. Like, that's going to be fun right there. I cannot wait for Tua versus Herbert, and I don't think everyone can wait as well. I think this is going to be a very, very amazing game. The only thing that sucks is that it's not going to be a primetime game. And unfortunately, they can't flex the Sunday Night Football game or the Monday Night Football game. And I didn't even know that you can't flex Monday Night Football games, which really sucks, but whatever. Like, that's news to me. So, yeah, I got the Chargers winning 33-27. I hope I'm right, but again, when it comes to the Chargers, nothing is guaranteed. Absolutely nothing. So, yeah, and to me, I'm just not a big fan of tanking. Like, I like to make fun of other teams tanking, but when it comes to the Chargers, I think they have talent. The problem is, I don't know if they have the coaching. I think their coaching and defensive coordinator needs to be looked at. Like, I think Gus Bradley's on the hot seat and Anthony Lynn's on the hot seat. Like, I suggested that Anthony Lynn should stay on the Chargers. Like, stay until the end of the year, and then on the NFL's version of Black Friday, he gets fired. And then they start their search for a new head coach. What I also didn't know was that Justin Herbert went through coaching change. Well, and the reason why I said that Anthony Lynn should stay on the Chargers until the end of the year is that it would just rattle Justin Herbert's confidence, because having to go from one coach to another would be tough. But one person on Twitter reminded me and said Justin Herbert had to deal with that whole one coach to another thing at Oregon. And I think Oregon had a different coach in all 4 years, and he was like, yeah, fire Lynn. And I actually did not know that, but to me, I think this is different in the NFL. Like, I think Lynn deserves a little bit more of a chance, but if they lose to the Jets, then it's over. Then we gotta fire Anthony Lynn. And that's not till next week, and God help me if the Chargers lose to the Jets. I don't think they'll have Sam Darnold, though, which is kind of a good thing. And maybe Mekhi Becton, so if you want more info about the New York Jets, definitely check out the show that never sleeps with Harrison Glaser and Pierre Moss, which airs every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And now that I mentioned wine tasting, definitely check out Let's Wine About Sports every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's every Monday. And I hope I did Mike Pat proud by going to wine tasting last Friday. And then definitely check out Marcus Lowe's great show, Gloves Off, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. He definitely does a great job with his show. He's here to give you what you want, what you need, and he's going to do it in a crispy IE Sports Radio black t-shirt. All right. So let's actually take ourselves a quick little break. I know I'm already past an hour, but when we come back, we're actually going to be talking some LAFC action, some Angels action, and a possible trade that the Lakers could be exploring. And we'll also talk a little college hoops as well. So you are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college in the CCCAA and in the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And you could check out all those shows and those shows and all of our shows here on IE Sports Radio. Speaking of some college football, I plan to call a college football game tomorrow on IE Sports Radio's Mixlr account. I plan to call Oregon at Washington State. Both teams are 1-0, and I'll be calling that game at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio's Mixlr account. So that's going to be fun. I also have a lot of live calls going live tomorrow, as I'm going to pull up my little list of live call schedules. As Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern, we have Pierre Moss calling Indiana at Michigan, and that's going to be on Wellington Sports Radio. And then at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Notre Dame at Boston College with Matt Owens on USRN. And then there's my live call that's going to be on at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Then at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, closing out the day, we have Northwestern at Purdue with Seth Eves on USRN2. So definitely do check out all those live calls. Definitely, especially on USRN, they do a great job in terms of Matt and Seth. So, yeah. And also, big shout out to Pierre. Like I said, he popped in the chat room for a little bit. So, yeah, definitely do check out Wellington Sports Radio as well. Yes, indeed. Alright, now let's jump on into segment 2. So, now let's jump on into some NBA action. Never thought I'd be saying this about the NBA. So, first and foremost, the NBA schedule has been finalized. Well, not finalized, but their start date is confirmed for December 22nd, which is cool and all, and we don't know anything other than that. So we got some Laker news. We actually had some Laker news that the Lakers might be interested in trading for DeMar DeRozan, and that the Spurs would be interested in trading DeMar DeRozan for Kyle Kuzma. Here's the thing about that. Is DeMar DeRozan a perfect fit for the Lakers? You could make the argument that it is, but honestly, I think Kuzma's I think the Lakers should pass on that. I think if the Lakers DeMar DeRozan isn't really like an all-around scorer like Kuzma is. Like, I think DeMar DeRozan's presence is more felt in the paint. But then again, I could be wrong, but I think they should hang on to Kuz. Like, he's actually the last member of their young core, and Kuzma had his ups and downs. One up that he had was that he came off the bench pretty well, and he also had himself a game-winning three-pointer against Denver in the bubble play. So, yeah. So to me, I think the Lakers should pass on this, unless the Spurs are willing to give up quite a bit along with DeMar DeRozan for Kyle Kuzma. But I don't think the Lakers should bite on that trade. So yeah, we have nothing in regards to the Clippers, except I think they're going to be finalizing their hires for like Chauncey Billups and whatnot. But other than that, there's no really other NBA news. So we can move on. So let's move on to some MLS action. So MLS action. I know I don't do the greatest job in the world in regards to the MLS. If you want more clean, better MLS action, you could definitely check out the Soccer Scoreboard Show every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, hosted by Andrew Hagenbaugh. And he's done a great job of taking the reins of that show. So LAFC finished up their season. They finished as the 7th seed in the Western Conference, which is cool and all. And they will be playing Seattle in the first round of the playoffs. So this year, Seattle and LAFC have both split their matchups. They've each won 2 apiece, and this is pretty much going to be for the rubber match. So the thing about Seattle is sometimes they're the king of the world, and sometimes they're down in the dumps. Here's the thing. Same can be said for LAFC. Tying to Portland did not do them any favors. Although it was an impressive tie, it wasn't that great. So, to me, it's going to be tricky for LAFC. And I think their game is going to be on Tuesday on ESPN, which is cool. But to me, it's going to be tricky for LAFC to win this one. On the road, mind you. And they're playing in prime time, so I don't know. I think this one's going to be a really good game. I think LAFC has a chance to pull the upset, but it all depends on their goalie play. Like, their goalie play, I think, is a little too if you ask me. I think, to me, Seattle's just going to barely squeak this one out. As a matter of fact, I think Seattle wins this one in penalty kicks, if there's still such a thing. Which there is, because the MLS's back tournament had penalty kicks. I think Seattle wins in penalty kicks, and the final score in regulation will be 1-1, and then in penalty kicks, Seattle's going to win 4-3. Unfortunately, Seattle's goalie is going to come up with 2 clutch stops, and then LAFC is going to be sad face, and then all the LA Galaxy fans will be hooping and hollering for joy. Yay! Except LA Galaxy didn't even make the postseason. They finished 10th in the Western Conference, which is some good segue to some LA Galaxy content. So, Galaxy disappointed. They lost their last game to, I think they lost to Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to Vancouver. They did tie with Seattle. That's what I was thinking of. But they lost. They went out with a whimper and not a bang, which is disappointing. So, LA Galaxy really need to figure it out. I think they first and foremost need a new head coach. And second, I think they need to maybe start cleaning house, because this will not do. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not the biggest soccer expert, but I will say this. I think they definitely need a head coach. They have some complementary players, but they just haven't looked the same without Zlatan. So, yeah. That's just my little spiel on the Galaxy. Not too much to talk about for them. It was just they had so much promise after the MLS's back tournament, but then they started falling apart, which was very disappointing. And then they never put themselves back together again. So, yeah. So, that's kind of my whole thing about LA Galaxy. LAFC, they're kind of the same thing, except they're more offensively put together, and they're not as defensively challenged. I mean, their goalie is still iffy, but their goalie play is still iffy, but I think that that's their only issue. Offensively, and if they're healthy, they're a good team. But yeah. Okay, so some news for LAFC. We actually have Bradley Wright Phillips was actually named the comeback player of the year. Let me say that again. Bradley Wright Phillips was selected as the MLS Comeback Player of the Year, which was really cool. And while most of us are Galaxy fans, we definitely got to show Bradley Wright Phillips the love. So, yeah, congrats to Bradley Wright Phillips, and that was some good stuff right there. And to me, I think he definitely deserves it, and he got 39.99999999999. I'm just kidding. He got 39.99% of the votes, while Kevin Molino finished with 21.89%. Milton Valenzuela had 9.04%. Florian Velotte had 6.45%. And then Breck Shea had 5.1%. So, big ups to Bradley Wright Phillips and LAFC. And 37.72% of his club voted, and he got 43.25% of the media voted for him. So, awesome stuff. So that's kind of the news for LAFC right there. All we can just do is hope that they can actually pull off some sort of upset. I think they'll be competitive against the Sounders, but it's not gonna work. So, yeah, but one can hope. All right, so that's pretty much gonna do it for the MLS portion. Now let's jump to some college hoops. Yes, although college hoops aren't for a while, we have ourselves some college basketball regarding some certain Southern California teams, such as San Diego State hosting a men's basketball. What's the word? Not a tournament, but a men's basketball like round robin or classic or something like that. Either way, it's called the MTE, and San Diego State's men's basketball team is the host school, and they're inviting UCLA, Pepperdine, and UC Irvine. What do those four schools have in common? San Diego State, UCLA, Pepperdine, and UC Irvine. I'll give y'all a minute. Okay, time's up. What those four have in college is that they are all from Southern California. San Diego State is from the San Diego area, UCLA is from Los Angeles, UC Irvine is from Irvine, which is in Orange County, And then Pepperdine is in Malibu, which is also Los Angeles County. But that's awesome. But when I first read that news, I couldn't believe it. I was like, my jaw just dropped. I'm like, whoa. So, yeah. So that is really awesome. I really could not believe that. And it's just a multi-team event and the games will be going on November 25th and November 27th to open the 2020 and 21 season in the Viejas Arena in San Diego. And it looks like San Diego State will be playing UCLA, which is awesome. And they're number 22 in the AP preseason top 25 poll, which is awesome. I won't get too much into that, but that is cool that UCLA gets to play San Diego State and whatnot, because that is awesome. And that's cool and all, and yeah. So, and it's the first time that San Diego State and UCLA will be facing one another, as the Aztecs defeated UCLA that year 78-69 back in 2012, which is cool and all. So, but however, UCLA does hold a 16-6 advantage, which is really cool and all that. So, yeah, but yeah, for the most part, I am looking forward to all of these matches, and unfortunately, fans will not be permitted into the Viejas Arena for this event, which really makes me sad. I was so bummed when I found out about that no fans could be in attendance. If this was at the Bren Event Center, I would be totally down to go to this event. It's in Orange County, and I know where the Bren Event Center is, and boy howdy, I'd like a freaking full week pass, 2 full day passes. I'd be so excited, and I just couldn't hide it. So yeah. But that's awesome. UC Irvine will be facing Pepperdine, San Diego State, and UCLA. Or probably should have put that a little bit better in order. But overall, that is such an awesome event. And I think, and it's just going to be fun. The only negative is that no fans are going to be allowed. But I don't even think UC Irvine can have fans at its events. So, yeah, that's a bummer. But it is what it is. And then I think USC Hoops is going to be partaking in a tournament this upcoming year, or this in December, which is going to be awesome. And look at this now. Yes, it's the Roman Legends Classic, and they'll be playing in a 4-team tournament. They'll be playing against BYU, UConn, and Vanderbilt. It's just going to be a 4-team bracket, and on December 1st, they're going to be playing BYU on ESPN2 at 2:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it's going to be an 11:30 a.m. start, which really sucks because reasons, and I'm sad. Derp. But, yeah, and UConn and Vanderbilt will be playing each other later on in the day, as they'll be playing at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, which means that's a 2 p.m. start time if you're on the West Coast like me. And then the finals will be slated for December 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 4 p.m. Pacific Time. And I'm hoping USC can get to the championship. So I think they can. I think they can beat BYU. BYU is kind of an under-the-radar team, but so is USC, because they have one of the top recruiting classes out there, and they're going to get even better when they get Evan Mobley. And it's going to be some fun times. They will be without Big O, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. But I will say this. I think USC will be under the radar. I think they were one of Andy Katz's under-the-radar teams, or show no love type of teams. But either way, I am looking forward to this event. Again, it's going to be the Roman Legends Classic, and it's going to be at the Mohegan Sun, which I'm actually not going to lie, I actually don't know where that is, but it's in Connecticut. So yeah, I didn't know where that was where that was at, but that's cool and all. So I'm glad USC is going to be making the use of its basketball season, and I'm happy. So. And then I guess to close out college basketball, the Big West Conference polls did come out. UC Irvine was slated to finish first in men's basketball, and then in women's basketball, UC Davis was picked first. Long Beach State, when it comes to my schools, were picked sixth in the coaches poll and seventh in the media poll in terms of women's basketball. And then when it comes to Marcus says, ask more of your defense, sir. Ask more of my defense. Okay. So, anyway, back to the Big West. When it comes to men's basketball for Long Beach State, they were selected sixth in the Big West Conference. And this was because of a media poll. So yeah. Yeah, but Irvine should be the heavy favorite. It's frustrating, but it's whatever. And they have a big game to start the season. They play UC Santa Barbara, and I believe that's going to be at UC Irvine, Brent Event Center. So cool. And then Long Beach State opens their season at UC Riverside, and that is going to be a road game for them. But that's just me being a homer because Long Beach State is my school and all. So, yay! All right, so I think that's going to do it for the men's or for the college basketball portion of it. So now we got one more topic to discuss, and that's the Angels. So the Angels have hired a new general manager. They have hired Perry Manassian. I'm probably butchering his name, but Perry Manassian. So that's some good stuff. And his statement was, I am humbled and honored to lead the baseball operations of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I am grateful to Art Moreno, President John Carpino, and the entire Angels family for this opportunity. My family and I couldn't be more excited to be part of this community. That's Perry. Alright, so here's the thing about the Angels. They got their GM, and this guy's a former GM of the Braves, so I guess that's cool. That's cool, I guess. However, what needs to be addressed for the Angels is this. They need to get pitching. I don't think us Angels fans need to stress this anymore. They need pitching in order to hang with the big boys of the AL West, such as like the Astros and the Oakland A's. So, to me, if they don't get pitching in the offseason, I think Angels fans are gonna go berserk. But yeah, I think they need to focus on pitching this offseason. And we don't even know what's going to happen with their season going forward, because we don't even know if they're going to have a 182-game season. Yeah, it all depends. But we'll see. We'll see for the Angels. Like, the Angels are already in a tough division as it is in the AL West. Like, they really need pitching, because this is becoming ridiculous. They've had the best player in the MLB in Mike Trout, and they haven't won a playoff game with him. So, yeah, they need more pitching, because that seems to be their problem. Yeah, and Marcus says we need to stop talking about the Angels' cheat season because they almost made it to the World Series. Yeah, they could have, but they unfortunately didn't. But yeah, I do agree. We need to stop. We do need to move on from the cheat season, because let's not talk about the Angels this year, and let's look forward to next year and hope hopefully they can actually get their heads out of their rear ends and get some pitching. Because if they don't, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, they can throw money and get, like, they always get like left fielders or first baseman or second baseman. Like, they need to focus on pitching. So yeah, otherwise they're never gonna catch the Astros or A's. So just my thing. So, but I'm glad the Angels finally got their GM. Like, I feel bad for Billy Epler, but not ultimately. But who knows? Maybe Billy Epler will find a new job. So, yeah. I think that's pretty much going to do it for the baseball portion. I didn't hear anything from the Dodgers, except there was somewhat of a rumor of that most of their players got COVID. But this is just a rumor. I want to see actual facts. And yeah, but that's pretty much all that we've got for baseball. And I think that's going to pretty much do it for everything. I think I've pretty much touched base on everything. There wasn't any news on the Clippers, and other than the NBA, which I talked about on Tuesday, the National Volleyball Association, I think that's pretty much it. I talked college football, talked some Rams. I have the Rams, and I have the Rams losing and the Chargers winning. Go figure. And then the Dodgers weren't ultimately in the news. And yeah, so I think that that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's show. It was we are approaching the 1 hour and 30-minute mark, but that's all right. And Marcus is already ahead of me. He's like, drop the beat. Thank you for tuning in, Marcus, my brother. I definitely appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and it was greatly appreciated. I'm glad, and I hope everyone's having a great Friday the 13th, like I said, and hope everyone is doing well during these times. And definitely do check out iSports Radio shows. And also, before we leave, how could I forget about this? We have to give a shout out to another app company, and our official sponsor of iSports Radio, with apps such as Mimi, the BS Meter, Facefly, Poopfly, and the Beatbox app. Another app co starts by building apps they love, and they share them with the world. And you can find them at www.anotherappcompany.com and in the Google Play Store. Soon it'll be coming to the Apple App Store. So once again, that's www.anotherappcompany.com. Another App Company. Building apps they love and putting a smile on their face. And that's pretty much going to do it. One more thing is that the holidays are... This is actually to promote someone else. This is for one of my friends, Jelani J.B. Bodie, who's the host of the Wait a Minute show. And the holidays are nearly upon us, and there is a kid or family that needs assistance to make these holidays an enjoyable experience. This is for, like I said, it's for the Wait a Minute show toy drive, sponsored by and put together by Jelani J.B. Bodie. You could follow Jelani J.B. Bodie at Jelani, Joloni, and he will have, and this is on Twitter, and he will have something, and he'll have a link to the Wait a Minute show toy drive. You can give $1, you can give $5, heck, you can even give 69 cents if you want to. Any amount will do, because it'll go to a great cause for kids in like Atlanta, Georgia. And yes, I said 69 cents. You could even donate $69. Or you could donate $69.69. Okay, I'm running that joke into the ground. Without any further delay, it is time we get on out of here, because it is everyone's dinner time for the most part. And maybe someone's bedtime. So, yeah, let's drop the beat. So thank you all for tuning in and joining me on this lovely Friday. Hope everyone is feeling lucky this week. Hopefully they're not having too much bad luck on Friday the 13th. And if you are, buy rabbit's foot. I can't really, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm just saying. But for everyone here at iSports Radio and for another app company, my name is Teran Rodriguez. Have a great rest of the night. And I will see you tomorrow for the live call of Oregon versus Washington State. Have a great rest of the night, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. See y'all tomorrow.
Audio